So, hello everyone. Today we are in Busan, in South Korea, and today we have an interview with a beautiful professional trader from Korea, or from which country? Can you introduce yourself a little bit?
Hello, I'm from Lithuania. I did just forget to say my name. I do apologize. My name is Veronika, and I was born in Lithuania, but I was raised in England and lived most of my life there. I now find myself traveling in Asia for over a year, and that is also how we met, among our travels.
Yeah. So, when we can start, are you prefer stock markets, crypto, forex? What is your main field in trading?
So actually, I started trading around 4 years ago. I started in crypto, and it's a learning process. It was interesting at the beginning, lots of gains and lots of losses, until I finally discovered that by making a strategy and sticking to it, I could actually do very well. I progressed into working with a team in actually doing some wealth management for some clients. And eventually, I actually came across a teacher in Forex, because with everything that I was doing in crypto, I also realized that because it's such an unregulated space, that in a regulated space, though the profit margins may not be as big, I can actually hit much more. I had higher probability of hitting targets in a regulated space by using pretty much the same principles I am using now. So I have, yes, traded in crypto, and also now moving into Forex to explore and learn more about that market and the playing field there.
Yeah. But if you are in crypto also, are you waiting alt season? Are you waiting to skyrockets in the markets right now?
So I used to be a day trader in crypto, and I'm trying to move away from that into more long-term trading. So I usually just pick a position that I can stick with for a long term.
Are you trade during the one day? I open position in the morning and you have to close your position.
That's what I used to do, yes.
Yeah.
I used to be a day trader. I used to usually try and aim to trade in one day. Sometimes it would take a week, but my aim was always from Monday to Friday. I didn't really want to go into the weekend because of the volatility of the market. But now that I'm learning Forex, I'm actually starting again in that place with Forex. It's day trading Forex, but I'm trying to be long term in crypto markets.
Yeah. Have you ever forget about your stop loss during the one day? Maybe you rush, maybe you, I don't know, just have a mistake, don't stop loss and regret about this. Have you ever been this situation?
When I first started, yes. In fact, when I first started, I made some very dumb decisions where you don't really put a stop loss and you believe you can watch it and decide what you're going to do as it goes, or you put your stop loss really low because you think like you'll never hit that.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, as you guys probably also will know, that it's very much possible.
But it's so huge mistake, and
yes, exactly. It's very much.
But how when you start, how many years you already in trading?
Around 4 years.
4 years.
Yeah, around 4 years in trading.
Have you ever been a moment when you feel like give up? Maybe you have some big losses, and maybe some situation when you start thinking about, maybe trading not for me, maybe I want to change my profession.
Absolutely, yes. I had a few of those moments, honestly. There was one moment where actually now we are not trading with our own money, we're actually trading with clients' money, so it's even more important.
It's more difficult. It's much more difficult because you have you have to think not only about your money, you have to think about money of clients. Yeah,
absolutely. And at that time I was also working with a team, so it wasn't purely my decisions on the trades that we took. And it's even harder when you're working with other people because you also don't really understand their thinking process. And we did have a moment where one of my team members decided that we take a trade that ended up in loss, and quite a big loss, and this is not our money. this was the client's money. And that really made me think, is this something I want to do long term? Because the stress of that whole situation was pretty overwhelming. However, you know, when you're in a loss, you have to find solutions. That's honestly the only way that you should approach trading, is without this kind of, if it doesn't work, I'm going to give up mindset, because this is how you do it. You will lose and you will win. You will lose and you will win. And if you lose, you will have to win. You just have to develop a strategy that is consistently more a winning strategy than a losing one.
It's like a casino. You have to continue.
You have to continue. But you don't want to do the same thing that you've always done. The thing is, you learn from your mistakes. So if this strategy was getting you losses, you've got to drop the strategy. And even if it takes you a little bit longer to make back the money, it's better to do it that way. So that's what we did. We actually ended up covering the loss with our own capital, and ended up having to just take a pause to be able to build up capital again slowly.
Yeah, and trading is as we mentioned before, it's like the best atmosphere for developing yourself.
Yes,
every
absolutely.
day.
And I would say another moment that really made me feel like I want to give up is that I was working with a team, and at one point we all decided that we actually need to separate. And I think actually the hardest part of that is if you are working with people, that you come to these kind of decisions. Doing trading alone can also be very hard. So if you can be joined to a community, that is...
But I think when you have a community, it's a more big responsibility. You have a so big responsibility for these people, and you have to get more psychology balance. Because when you lost only your money, you can regret about this, but if you will lose money for another people, it's also a big responsibility.
Well, I mean, absolutely, I agree. I think working with a team exactly and doing the same thing, working on, say, one capital, it's really hard. However, just having people around you that are doing something similar that you can just come alongside with to be a little bit of a, how would I say this? The word just flew out of my head. But anyway, your accountability, I think, is good.
But by the way, I didn't know that Veronika, managing not only own money, but managing money to another people. Yeah, it's some big responsibility. But have you ever get maybe some weird advice from your customers, or maybe you give some advice for your customers when you work together?
I've had moments, of course, where our clients would pressure us for certain profits, percentages, that at that point we already recognize that it's not realistic in the time frame. So, for example, they would want a profit margin of like 25% in a short period of time.
They want to take money.
Yes, they want to take the money, 25% in, say, even a month. At that point, we started to develop a different kind of strategy, a more long-term, more sustainable strategy. And this is the thing about people. This is the thing about me. Even when I first started, I really had to face the amount of greed, the ego that I have just by being a human being, honestly, that I had to deal with at the beginning. And this is what a lot of people come across when they start to make money. It's always like, oh, I can do more, I can do more, I can do more. But at some point, that balance breaks.
Yeah, fear and greedy is the most important feelings in our markets. So maybe you can say some advice for people who want to start in a trading right now. Maybe you can recommend something for new people.
I definitely would recommend the book, The Psychology of Money, because I actually believe the very basis of psychology the basis of trading is psychology. If you can understand first yourself and your approach to money, and then understand how other people think and their approach to money, you can utilize that in the market in order to basically understand how the movement will be based on the psychology and the actions that people will take. So there's a lot of fear-mongering in the market.
So do you believe that psychology is the most important?
I actually believe it's the most important. Yeah. There is another book that I started to read, which is called The Power of the Subconscious Mind.
I never read.
Yes, and that one is also pretty much telling you what is the things that you believe in yourself, in your life, that is beyond the conscious mind. It's something that is pretty much like a code that's been ingrained into you since you were young, and therefore it's an automation. It's something that you don't think about. And the thing is, the only way to change that also is by being conscious of that subconscious. And I definitely recommend that book, because that will also help you understand why is it that you're making certain decisions in the market. So when I first started out, yes, I used to really risk it. I used to risk it with my stop losses and leverage. The leverage would be too high at times, and it was only after some time of gaining and losing, in one day I made $15,000, and in another couple of days I lost $15,000, and it was such a quick turnaround that made me realize, like, this is not sustainable. I had to work on the way that I'm thinking, on the actions that I'm taking based on what I'm believing in myself, and also about money, and also that comes out a lot in trading.
Yeah, I totally agree that psychology is the most important things in in our profession. And by the way, you are a girl, and probably we know that girls have a good intuition. And what are you prefer? Be disciplined, how to say, use, and you more about discipline, or you follow your intuition in the markets?
I think actually because of my intuition, I am a little bit more risk averse. So I worked with some male counterparts. We worked together on some trades, and I saw that they are more likely to take a really risky trade, like the one I just kind of described earlier, than I am, because that intuition is telling me the risk is too high, there's danger there. So I would say, because of the intuition that I naturally have, actually I try to be much more disciplined with my trades. And it's like, if I say this is where I take profit, I have to take profit, even if it will go higher. I've decided that I must take it here before I make any losses. It's always covering your investment first, and then you can always do it in parts. You can, I would say, this is probably the best advice I was given, is if you have take profits, put about 3. Put one where you're kind of covering what you've invested, and then put another 2 a little bit later, that if it does go higher, if it does actually go past your initial take profit, you can actually get more. So I would say do it in stages.
First important things, you have to come back your own money which you invest.
Absolutely, yes.
And after you will thinking about your profits. And the most important. So I already asked a lot of questions, and maybe you can share what is your daily routine, how you prepare before trading, how you relaxed after trading. Maybe, I don't know, you go to some special place, maybe you drink, maybe you have a dinner. What's your preparation, and what's your relax after trading routine? How you spend your day?
I love to read. I love to take a slow morning. Honestly, my slow mornings are the most important for me, just to take the time to, I guess, prepare my mind for the day. So I love a cup of coffee. It's not even like a wake me up thing. It's just almost like just this thing that I really enjoy, with a good book, or listening to something in the morning, taking a walk. And this all sounds so cliche, but actually it really does wonders when you can allow yourself just to clear your head, especially before really important decisions. It's like just emptying something out. In fact, I'm actually really not good at being very still and slowing myself down, because I'm generally naturally very energetic. I love to do active things. But one of the best advice I have been given and helped me a lot is, if I cannot slow myself down and make myself sit still just on my own, to create a little exercise that will help me to do that. And whether that is something where you literally sit down and you count in your head, or you tell yourself something, like you can recite something or a story or whatever, but you do that until you really just calm down, and then you can sit still for a moment, and then you can actually analyze the day and everything ahead of you in just a much more like calm space. So I love that. But after, it's always on whatever the trade has been or whatever the day has been. I believe the best way to relieve that pent-up energy, because things can be, you know, kind of tense, is to do some kind of exercise. I love to dance, so one of my favorite pastimes, especially in Vietnam, was going to a Latin dancing session where you just go and you just let the energy out and enjoy the music. Absolutely, especially when there was a specific bar with a secret door and you had to go inside a fridge to get into it. Anyway,
but now we are not. But now we are in Busan.
Now we are in Busan,
near the beautiful sea, and probably Veronika, after trading session today, will go to the sea to make a photo, to have a suntan. And anyway, it was so interesting to speaking with you.
It's been a pleasure to meet you.
Yes, thank you for coming to our podcast studio. And maybe
enjoy the view, guys.
Maybe we will meet next time in another city, and Veronika will share another advice with us.
Sure.
Thank you.
Have many stories. And I'd love to hear from you guys. So leave your comments and
and subscribe this channel.
What are some of your worst and best tips for trading, and some of your funniest stories, maybe?
Yeah, it will be interesting to read and
absolutely
answer. Yeah. Goodbye, guys. Yeah.
Good day to you. Bye.
Bye.